Well. What do we have here? Another live stream, you say? Let's go! Hey, we got a special guest coming on tonight. We got Ryan, the best aquascaper in the world. Prove me wrong. It's going to be good. And we got Todd and Mariah, best co-host. See you there. All right, let's go ahead and welcome everyone into the chat. And those watching replay, you guys are crazy. But hey, we still love you. Come back when you watch a live stream in person. So, anyways, for that ado, let's go. We got 3G. Welcome, brother. Score Aquatics. Welcome. Sorry about my audio. It's a little loud. I'll try to tone it down a little bit. I get excited. Fathom Aquatics. Welcome. Hey, Melvin. Welcome. All right. Red Laser. Welcome. And for those that caught the start of the live stream, let me know what you thought about that. Is that just crazy? Should I just delete that part? Hey,
I was impressed.
Oh, thank you.
I liked it. The music. It felt very. I don't know. Felt very hip. I felt like I was in a special place here, and then you acknowledged it looked like your members, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I figured that otherwise, I don't want to forget anyone. You know, this way I don't forget anyone. Everybody's there.
Nice.
And a big shout out to y'all as members for supporting Vibes Aquatics. And those that are not members yet, hey, you're missing out on the behind the scenes. There's content that's going out regularly that you're not seeing because you're not a member. So, and also the members get to see the pre-show of a video coming out the following week. So if you want to see the pre-show, be a member of Vibes Aquatics. Hey, and if you want to shout out a super chat in a live stream, after a live stream, after a video, after a short, go ahead and do it. That money, that value is going back to the channel, not to me. It's for y'all. Okay, enough of that. This is not a business. This is a hobby. Okay. Vanoski, welcome. All right. Since Ryan is here as a guest, we're going to be asking him questions. He's going to be asking us questions. It's going to be good. So, Ryan, how long have you been in the hobby?
Sorry, I'm hearing audio on like a 5-second delay. I'm hearing you and then I'm hearing you again, and I'm having a hard time.
Hold on. Hey, I'll tell you what, y'all. I'm gonna back off and I'll come back.
Okay. How's it now, Ryan? Still?
I'm just hearing his last statement just now.
Oh.
I just heard you. Yeah, it's still happening for all of us.
Uh-oh.
Maybe I should
drop down and come back up.
Yeah, I'll try again.
Okay. I'm going to go here to chat real quick and just see what's going on. I apologize about that, everybody.
Sorry, everyone. This is the first time that's happened. But...
Yeah, Ryan just jumped down. He's going to try and reconnect and see what's going on. But looks like we have had Crowntail has jumped us. Wi-Fi joined us.
Crowntail, welcome.
Let's see.
Wi-Fi, welcome.
We've got a $2 super chat from our man Berto at Garcia Aquatics.
Hey, Gar, welcome. Thank you for that, brother. We got something for you. Hold on. Bear with me. Yep, let's see what we can do about this. I'm a little new to all this, y'all, but...
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat.
How about that?
Nice.
Thanks,
Very
guy.
nice. Oh, we just picked up M&C. M&C, good to see you. Thanks to everybody for coming out. We've got a nice crowd here.
Yeah, bear with us, y'all, as we figure out connection issues. I'll be right back with you. MNC, welcome. So, DJ,
Yeah.
any updates that we missed?
Yeah. So I am on month 1 just today. Actually, it's the 7th. Yeah, month 1 of the first batch of the white cloud fry that I had collected. So I've had still a little bit of a die-off issue in some of them, but I collected 2 other times that are like a week behind, so they're like 3 weeks old, and they're doing quite well. So I feel really much happier that I'm starting to figure the process out. I obviously don't like the fact that I'm still having die-off, because that's something obviously that I'm doing wrong, but I'm feeling like I'm starting to figure out these guys, which are proven to be really sensitive when they're young, and that they grow so slow. So there's something going on there. So it's an interesting challenge, and I'm just trying to improve the process here slowly. So that's an update that I'm happy to see that we're having some success in growing those fry out. And Ryan is back. Ryan, is audio any better for you?
I'm back. Yes. I think the issue was that the stream was probably live on another browser. As soon as I started killing all the browsers, it cleared up. So that's my fault. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, not
you're
at all.
good. I'm sorry. I guess I should have asked you if you had anything else open. Because, yeah, that would do it. If you have any other browsers open, it would mess it up. It's weird. Oh, we got Jay, not a Quinn guy. Welcome. I got to meet him in person there at Aquascaping Daytona.
Do I still have an echo? I just tried something with the this
nope
up here.
Sounds okay, Mariah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Great.
You're good. Welcome back, everyone. Hey, this is gonna be awesome now. Everybody's back. Good. So, Ryan, how long have you been in the hobby?
Seriously, in the hobby, just probably the last 4.5 years or so. I had fish tanks and critter tanks and kiddie pools full of random things when I was a kid, and sort of lost touch with that side of me, I guess, through like young adulthood and raising kids in the city and all that. But then one of my children brought home a goldfish from a carnival, and I killed it and felt really guilty, and went and got him a beta from a big box store. And it was like, a snowball rolling downhill. It was like immediately I was like, oh, I'm loving this, and yeah, sort of one thing led to another. And I've been just endlessly obsessed for the last 4 to 5 years, I'd say.
Nice. So that means I would have met you not much after you started, or a couple years after you started then.
Yeah, I've probably been doing it for, aquascaping for a couple of years when I met you.
Okay. You're good at it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I get a lot of practice.
So what got you into aquascaping?
Well, like I said, once I brought the beta home, I put it in a bowl, the same bowl that I killed the goldfish in, and it was really my conscience. It was like, I'm not sure that these should be kept in bowls, and so I just did a little bit of research, and I saw some beta setups that had plants in them, and it just was like, actually it had like, how people will have pothos and things growing out of the tank, and that really intrigued me because I was a pretty avid gardener. I still am. I have a pretty big perennial garden outside, and I was talking to a friend of mine who had given me an aquarium and said, you can put plants inside of an aquarium as well. And I was like, surely you jest, But sure enough, I went to, I'm very fortunate to have a great local fish store. And I went in there and saw plants and aquariums. And I was like, oh man, this is like scratching every itch. Is just appealing to all of my sensibilities and nostalgia and interests. And so I put some plants in an aquarium. That same friend that gave me my first aquarium gave me my second aquarium, which was a Fluval Edge 12. And I just Google searched that, and there was a YouTube video of George Farmer aquascaping a Fluval Edge 12 at a trade show. And that was the first time I heard the term aquascaping. So once I had that search term, it was like the whole world opened up, and I was just, like I devoured like college degree level of information before I even really did my first aquascape. I was just kind of taking it all in. I couldn't get enough. And in fact, I still can. I'm still just constantly devouring as much information. I would say it's broadened quite a bit, but I'm still that like hunger and interest in the hobby and things surrounding the hobby is growing stronger, if anything.
So, before we go any further, though, before we forget, what's your channel on YouTube that people can find you and subscribe?
The YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel is called The Aquascaping Type. And it's a channel that I have with my friend in Toronto. Her name is Alex Bella. And we managed to produce some videos in our respective countries and sort of collaborate in that way. It does present some challenges, and we're not as active as I think we wish that we could be, because it requires a lot of kind of coordinating of schedules, and the production of the videos is very involved. She has a motion graphics background, and in my day job, I'm a creative director, so I make a lot of TV commercials and that kind of thing. So I write all the scripts, and so it's a pretty involved process. So when we do put a video out, you can know that we put a lot of time and effort and care into it, but it just takes longer than I think we wish that it did.
Yeah. Before I get as well, whatever you do in the channel, you guys are rocking. I enjoy every part of it. Keep it up.
Yeah, I was going to comment to say, I can imagine just watching some of the videos, Ryan, that it takes a lot of coordination, but you guys actually make it look pretty effortless.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The way in which you guys have structured it is really smart, right? I think it's, if you look at it, you can tell, and you guys are honest about the fact that you live in different places, right? That's how I kind of figured out that you're in Indy, because I think there was at least one video where you guys both talked about being in different cities. But the way that you go back and forth, it has this nice kind of balanced play where I think you use the distance kind of to your advantage, right? Is the way I look at it. And so I thought it was really interesting.
It does move quickly. One, it's like a lot of things with me, I designed solutions out of necessity. So the format kind of told me what it was going to have to be, and then our ability to memorize lines, and my ability to memorize lines. Typically, by the time I get to the end of a video script, my brain is tired, and I'm like, so I tended to start. You can probably tell over the lifespan of the channel, our lines start to get a little shorter, which I think it works because it makes the video kind of zippier and has good pace to it. But I can't take all the credit for that rhythm. It was kind of like my own inability to remember really long lines.
Right. I'm behind chat, y'all. Let's go ahead and speed it up. He'll all come in. Welcome, Mark Sterlson. How you doing? How's Australia? Hopefully. Hey, Vision. Welcome.
Hey, Fernando.
Fish Fam Link is here. Welcome. Bunny Viper. Welcome. How
Hey,
you
Ivy.
doing? Linda Worth. Welcome. I'm seeing a lot of members coming in. I appreciate each and every member, and also I appreciate each and every subscriber. So, welcome.
We even
everyone.
like the visitors around here vibes. Everybody is welcome to a Thursday
Yeah.
night stream.
That's
Hey,
right.
isn't it awesome? Everybody's welcome. Sam, way away. Welcome,
Hey, Sam.
brother.
Mm,
Okay, all right. Hey, Bunny Viper, the other channel is a food channel. Go check it out and see for yourself. Since this is a fish channel, we're not gonna talk about it tonight. Stephen P, welcome. How you doing?
Speaking of Stephen P,
hey.
look at
What's
this. We're representing my buddy Stephen.
Time is it? Okay, it is a time of the night, commercial time. I got one commercial, y'all, for tonight. It's about this coming weekend, Houston. There's a Aquarium Nation Expo, the 9th and the 10th, in Houston, Texas. So if you're in the area, come on by. And Lord willing, I'm planning to head out in the morning and be over there. It just so happened to work out for me to show up. It's the biggest one they've done yet. So it's a fish and a reptile show, for those that wonder.
Nice.
I've never been to it, so I'm in the dark. Hopefully, I'll get to see other people that are as well in the dark. No, I'm not the only one. Missa, welcome. Okay, back at the live stream. Unless, hey, why am I doing all the talking? Do y'all have any commercial?
Any commercials? No, I think you covered the only commercial. But from a question perspective for Ryan, right, around, aquascaping, how have you seen, since you started getting into aquascaping and you learned about this world, right, through as you've continued to kind of jump back into the hobby? Can you talk a little bit about how have you seen your style evolved? What do you consider kind of your favorite styles when you're making a new build? And just kind of curious about sort of the behind the scenes inspiration and sort of how that's changed for you over time.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've actually had more people recently talk to me about or mention to me that when they see an aquarium, they don't even need to see my name with it, that they can tell that I made it. Which it's a little bit surprising to me, because I really see myself as just kind of following my curiosity. And I do have an art and design background, and so I do find that part of it very fulfilling. So it really is about partly kind of personal expression and just processing what I'm seeing in nature and getting closer to nature. So I think one of the things that has happened is I have just gotten much more interested in spending time in nature. And I think that a lot of the inspiration is coming directly from my experiences, what I'm seeing. My contest tanks specifically are usually inspired by some kind of a scene or a series of scenes that I'm kind of wanting to reinterpret in an aquarium. And so I think that if my style has evolved, I think I see it less about my style and more about my process. My process has evolved to really start with nature, and then and sort of reinterpreting it in a way, and sometimes I, at least from my perspective, a lot of the ways that I reinterpret it is very different aesthetically. But I think that you can't help who you are, and ultimately it is going to be like, and I'm making the decisions and I'm expressing myself. So I think it's natural that some of those tendencies are coming through, and maybe that's what people are picking up on. It's just harder for me and my personality to recognize those things. I really just see it as like I'm just following whimsy and my curiosity, and it's taking me into like a lot of botanical style aquariums and kind of nano ponds and all kinds of different. It's not all like kind of underwater aquascapes. I'm doing a lot of paludariums and all kinds of stuff like that. So, but I suppose uh, maybe it's more of a sensibility than a style, and maybe that's semantics. But that's, I guess, how I would express it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that really does explain it, right? I think to understand that it's sort of how you work through from sort of nature, or whether you see it. I assume some of it you've seen live in front of you if you're out,
Yeah.
on a hike or whatever. And other things, maybe you've seen a video or a picture in a magazine or something, like that gives you a glimpse of what some of those habitats might look like, and then you sort of adapt it visually to what you look like. I think that's really interesting. That's helpful, because I will be super honest with you that I have plants in a lot of my tanks, but I do not consider them to be aquascaped. And so I'm always
Yeah.
curious for people that do have kind of those tanks where they set up with very much an intention, how they get there. So that's where the question kind of came from, is just to sort of, as I try to improve myself, just understanding how others are thinking about it. So I appreciate the.
Yeah. I think a big influence for me too is that I have kind of this insatiable appetite for creating new tanks. Like it's like the multiple tank syndrome, yes, and it's also just like needing to have wood and rock and be building stuff all the time. And so I think a lot of what people would perceive as my style is me kind of coming up with aquariums that require very, very little attention, but are maximum impact. Like have a show-stopping quality in my home, and there's a conversation piece, but requires very, very little upkeep. Beyond making sure the fish or whatever is living in there, the plants are well taken care of. And that balance enables me to go really hard on a contest aquarium once a year. It's being able to and produce Instagram content and all those kinds of things, is like making sure I'm designing aquariums that I can actually manage with life.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a big thing for all of us as fish keepers or keepers of aquariums, paludariums, whatever, is making sure that we find those ways to make it doable, knowing that it's not our work. It's something that we do as a hobby and a side, and we've got families and activities and responsibilities. So I think that's really interesting how you bring out, I think, a thing that we all can relate to around making sure that it's manageable.
Yeah. I think that is pretty critical, especially when you're dealing with living beings. It can be really easy to be selfish and scratch whatever creative itch that I have, and I'm involving a being. I actually had an instance recently where I made a tank that was going to be a showpiece in my living room, and just this really, I think, a beautiful piece, and I had a very distinct vision for it. And somebody suggested some wild betas, a pair of beta uberis, and I did a little kind of cursory research on them and was like, oh, that would be awesome, you know. I put them in the tank, and they hated it. I never I never saw them, and I'm like, well, what is going on there? And then people who actually, you know, keep wild betas are like, dude, they come from like Blackwater, and you've got too much light on there, and there's no leaf litter for them to pick at. And I'm like, you know, you're right. And so I kind of had to reimagine what I had was a very specific vision, and in the process of sort of moving this tank to something that has a lot more botanicals and darker water, and I'm already starting to see them come out a little bit more. But that was an example of where like my artistic vision kind of, I got ahead of my skis a bit, you know, and now I'm kind of working to make it right, you know, because I really do feel, as much as it is a creative expression for me, I really do care about the animals.
So, what would you say that is your favorite plant to use? What is your first choice?
Mm.
Oh, I have such a hard time with favorite style question. I will say the plant that ends up in most of my aquariums for one reason or another is Hemianthus cuba, which is like a tiny, tiny, tiny carpeting plant. Has the most beautiful, delicate leaves. It pearls a lot, but it also is incredibly versatile in that it can be, once it grows really thick, it can be grown. It can be grown as an epiphyte, which means it doesn't need to be in soil. You could, you know, tie it to a stone or put it on a piece of wood, and it will have kind of like a draping habit, and will grow downwards, which creates a really nice contrast to most of the other plants, which are growing upwards. It will kind of like hang down, and then if you get it thick enough, you can actually kind of sculpt it into shapes and make it sort of look like it's vining down, and it's really beautiful in emergent setups and ponds, you know, where it's maybe just at the water's edge or just above. And I like mixing, you know, just taking a leaf or two and putting it in some moss and just like letting it slowly grow up. So I don't know if it's my taste in plants is always evolving and changing, and I tend to think in like plant combinations more than individual plants, but that is the plant that it tends to be a go-to for me. So we'll call it my favorite.
Nice. And I do second. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it. The way you paint the picture, it's like a very dramatic type of plant, right? It can do a lot of different things, and you can mold it to be kind of the part of the scape that you're kind of looking for. So that's really quite interesting.
You can also, because of its size is so small and delicate, that when in an aquascape that you're trying to create a lot of depth, when you put it at the very back, you know, in an opening, it just makes the aquarium look miles deep.
Wow.
So yeah, it's beautiful in its own right, but it has a lot of utility, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Have you found, Ryan, a plant kryptonite? One that just, for whatever reason, just you cannot work with? You
know, the plant that is a little bit of an enigma for me is Utricularia graminifolia, which is it's a carnivorous plant, and it's another kind of delicate carpeting plant, and it's one of those that will be going along just fine and like doing great, and then all of a sudden will just like melt out of nowhere, and I can't ever quite figure out like what's changed or what I'm doing wrong. Some people find it incredibly easy to grow, and sometimes I feel like it's incredibly easy to grow, and then all of a sudden it's not. So I think that's the one that I'm still kind of trying to figure out. There's a lot of plants that you have to be really patient with, you know, that I think when I first started, I would have just like given up on and like yanked it out, and now I sort of know better, to let it, you know, just chill and die back a little bit, and then it'll come back, because aquatic plants are incredibly resilient for the most part, because you think about where the habitats that they're coming from. I mean, they're, you know, they may have water, they may not, you know, it's like, so it is, I mean, it's a little bit of a cliche, but this hobby, if nothing else, has taught me patience, you know, with plants and just about every part of it. But yeah, I think that's kind of a long, convoluted answer for your very direct question, but hopefully that works for you.
It totally, yeah, no, I can totally relate to the whole, you know, patience and, you know, trying to sort of figure out the things that don't seem to be working, right? And I think you're right. It extends far beyond just plants. So no, that resonates very much with me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Back to there's a comment back in the stream. Now, Aquarium guy Jay, he says that Ryan's Instagram takes pictures of nature, adds a virtual tank frame to show how he gets his inspiration. That is so cool. It actually is giving me inspiration as well. It's giving me new ideas.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal for that series. It's one of my favorite things that I do. It's a way for me to express how I am looking at nature, and ultimately I want to help other people have that same experience. So by making it look like there's an aquarium in the woods, it does give ideas for compositions that are very much nature inspired, you know, that are repeatable and doable at home. Some are more complex, and but really the intention is to help others like have a new experience in nature and bring that experience and inspiration home with them.
Since I started watching you on Instagram, I tend to, whenever I'm outside, I tend to put everything in a tank. It's weird. Everything I see is in a tank.
Yeah, well, now you know what it's like to be me. You know, you're cursed like I am to see everything through an aquarium frame.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Snow Guardian, Annette, welcome.
Hey, Annette, we also we picked up Jesse, Salian Aquatics.
Hey, Jesse, welcome. And I'm not sure who said hi. Craig, welcome, Craig.
Hey, Craig.
All right, back at in the hobby. Is there anything that you could, if you could change, what would it be?
You know, I think a little bit more collaborative spirit across companies and different silos within the hobby. I think there's a lot that we can learn from each other, and the hobby is not so big that that I think it's worth like being so ultra competitive. I think that there's so much this hobby has to offer people, and if there was a little bit more of a kind of like rising tide lifts all boats spirit in general, I think that the benefit, the therapeutic benefits, and all of that, like I'm just really passionate about, because I didn't know this existed, 5 years ago, and it's hard for me to imagine that I didn't, and it's hard for me to imagine life without it, like coping with with stress and all of those kinds of things. And I just know there's more of me, people like me out there,
Right.
and so I just anything that stands in the way of that bums me out. It really bums me out. So I know that's kind of like a I don't know, like peace love answer, and is maybe a little bit naive, but because I know there are businesses to run and all of that, but I just want to see good community citizens in the and commerce. I really want all the companies to really look out for the end user, and really providing products that are long lasting and are removing barriers rather than like creating failures and those kinds of things. So I don't want to get too specific about anything, but that generally is my feeling, and sort of just I don't in my own affiliations with companies. I don't really work with companies that are just approaching me out of nowhere. I have to have experience with their product, and usually need to buy it. And I'm working with 2 Hour Aquarius now, but I used them on my contest tank last year. I bought all my own fertilizers and all of that, and it's just now that I'm willing to promote them, because I just I think it's important that people are getting that hobbyists are. It's an expensive hobby, and I want to make sure that the money that they're putting into it is going to give them a good return, and is going to keep them in the hobby, and not be a barrier or a discouragement to them.
Hey, GNC, welcome.
Yeah, I think that's a really good. It's a good it's a good goal, I think, for all of us, right? To really to build hobbyists, as opposed to a situation where people come in because, just like they end up with that goldfish that they got from an event, and it passes away. They don't know why. They get frustrated and they stop, right? That's not how we build the hobby.
Yeah.
That's not how we build hobbyists. That's how you just frustrate people, and they don't know what to do, and they're, sad about it because they don't have anything else to believe other than it was their fault. So, I think absolutely, if we could figure out how to spend more time building hobbyists, right, it would benefit the hobby in general and grow it, and change the statistics that we all hear about for people. The average time in the hobby, it's very, very short. Ryan, kind of like you, I was a fish keeper as a kid, and got out of it basically by the time I went to college, because there just was no way, at least in my mind. I know there's people in our community that do it very successfully, but I couldn't maintain that and go to school. And found my way back just a few years ago, like you. And it's one of those that I wanted to do the research and find out all this information so that I made sure that it stuck. And if we made that easier on people, I think it would be beneficial for everybody involved. So I think it's good that you bring that up.
Right, I agree, and I think to touch on that a little bit, to speak into like the creating hobbyists with kids, especially like situations where a kid's fish will pass away, and rather than trying to figure out what happened and why it occurred and educate the child, a lot of times the parent will just rush to their local fish store or their fish or whatever's nearby and try to hurry and replace the fish instead of trying to figure out what happened so it doesn't occur again.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course the parents end up getting frustrated with it and end up getting because they don't want to keep spending money to replace the fish, and it becomes a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think to that point, it makes me think that it's just so. If people knew they were getting started, the patience that is required, you know, like I know when the first time I was setting up an aquarium, it was like, I'm not waiting for this thing to cycle, you know, like it's just painful at the beginning. And now I'm so much more conditioned to patient than I was. And I just think what a lovely gift it would be to give to your child, to be like, no, like this is what is required. This whole endeavor is just going to require patience, and it's going to pay off. And then once they see that it does, it's such a valuable lesson, because especially in the face of like how fast paced everything is now, it just seems like patience could be one of the best gifts that we could give to the next generation of hobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's something that we all have
your
is being very impatient.
Yeah, for sure.
So who's your biggest influencer in the hobby?
Who's the biggest influencer in the hobby? Or
For
who's
you.
my biggest
Yeah.
Oh, who's the biggest influence for me? Oh, you're asking me all these questions where there's just one answer, and I'm not very good at that.
Okay. Who are a couple?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the biggest influences for me is Takashi Amano, who's, he's no longer living, but is, I have all of his books and I read them, and there's a lot of like wisdom, just not necessarily like in how to or whatever. It's just a really healthy way of looking at aquariums, and the hobby in general. So I think that that's massive. There's a few different people that have been really instrumental in my growth. Jeff Miyake is one who's, as far as like competitive aquascaping, he's probably taught me more technique than anyone else. George Farmer had, he and I are very similar in that we're really interested in the why the aquarium, like what is it that what are we getting out of it? And the Sinsky brothers from Aquarium Design Group, I've gotten especially a lot closer to Mike, and we have a really rich connection. I'm on a team of aquascapers called the Aquascaping Collective, and there's several members that I'm very connected with there. That so yeah, you told me a few. I gave like 7 or 8. I thought.
Perfect.
And there's more.
That's
There's
all we
more.
ask.
I mean, my personal mantra is everyone is your teacher. So I really am like trying to glean as much as I can from as many people as I can, whether they're, a beginner or somebody who is really experienced, whether it's somebody that I love or somebody that I dislike. Like, what are they teaching me? So that's just kind of my philosophy. So picking a person is kind of hard.
Dee, welcome. Jeff
Hey, Dee Dee.
Kane, welcome.
Jeff, hello.
There was a question. What are Ryan's other hobbies?
I feel like if word got out that I had any more hobbies, my wife might leave me. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
No, but
answer.
I do.
Okay, moving on.
I'm just kidding. I do charcoal grill pretty avidly, and I do graphic design kind of as a hobby sometimes, and I do keep a pretty nice size perennial garden outside. So I would say that, and photography is in tandem with my aquariums, but also just in nature has become a hobby. So I think that pretty much covers it.
All right. Ryan, do you have any questions for us on panel?
Ooh, well, I honestly, Todd and Mariah specifically, I don't have a lot of background on your fish background. Like what niche within the hobby are you most interested? What lights your fire? That's a really beautiful aquarium and composition. I can't quite see what's in there. Is that Frontosas?
That is, I've got a couple of Texas cichlids in there, a couple of green Texas, these two. And then I got the Mayan the terror cichlid over there.
Yeah.
And I've got, I don't know if you can see them there, but I got 2 Jack Dempseys in there.
Oh, nice. It's a beautiful aquarium.
That wood is actually from Australia.
It is. The wood and the wood and some of the stone is actually from one of the top placing Fluval aquascaped tanks. So
cool.
This stuff was actually inside one of those tanks in Daytona.
So was that in Orlando or in Daytona?
Daytona.
Or
yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Well, I was a judge in that contest, and I'm trying to think of which aquarium that would have been.
I don't know exactly which tank it came out of, but it was definitely like the dragonstone in there, and all of the wood that you see in this tank came out of one of those. So.
Oh, cool!
When they were breaking everything, awesome. They were like, "Hey, do y'all want this stuff?" So we were like, "Heck yeah!"
Yeah. The end of those shows, that is the best place to pick up some cheap or free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to hang around.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as fish background and fish keeping, I've been in and out of the pet industry a little over 10 years. So, I mean, I started off my journey with PetSmart, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And kind of started getting interested from there. And I'd gone to a couple of other pet retailers and started getting even more and more interested when I was the person responsible for taking care of all the fish tanks and the store's animals and everything like that, and ordering the fish and figuring out what can go with what and what was compatible and what to have. And I just kind of fell down into the rabbit hole of it and haven't looked back. And I think I've been actually keeping fish actively in my home. Not including the couple of betas that I've had, I would say about 2 years now.
Yeah.
But I am currently in the process of working on a as well.
Did you at PetSmart? Did you learn any valuable lessons, or mostly like what not to do, or like what you take from that experience?
So initially at PetSmart, there wasn't really a lot of in-depth training or just educating of what we should know as far as selling live animals to people or selling fish to people, especially.
Yeah.
I think I don't really feel like I absorbed a lot from that initial experience with them, just because I had no idea what fish were what. I mean, I knew the names and I knew what they were when I could look at them, but I couldn't tell you that a goldfish isn't supposed to go in a tropical fish tank. You
Yeah.
know, at the time, I couldn't even tell you what temperature you were supposed to keep the fish tank at for certain fish. I just knew that a certain amount of inches and a certain amount of gallons. That was about as much as I knew. And you can only put a certain amount of fish in a certain tank, you know. And that was pretty much the extent of my knowledge, except for the aggression, like the aggression levels of certain fish. Like they would say, "Oh, well, this is slightly aggressive. This is less aggressive." We all
Yeah.
know that a lot of those little information cards when it comes to fish stores mean absolutely nothing. It's
Yeah.
just words on a card. But yeah, I think the most beneficial and educating experience for me was probably when I was with Pet Supermarket. It's a different, smaller retailer. And there I was able to really have a little bit more freedom and be more involved in actually keeping the fish and the aquariums in the store as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I see it even in I think my local fish store, I would say, is in the the top 5% of like, positive fish stores that do a really good job. But even they deal a lot with like transients of their staff. It's a constant struggle to keep their staff as educated as they possibly can. They have a few that are really, really, really good, and then but if they lose one of those, it leaves a big gap, and so the next person that steps through the door, maybe they're not getting as good of advice as they might have, like a couple months ago. It's but it's even worse at the bigger places, where they just don't even care as much about, like you said, like the actual training.
Right.
They're sort of using info cards to um, try and sell an easier experience that's just not that basic, right?
Right. I think one of my biggest pet peeves is seeing someone allow a customer to take home their fish and the tank the same day. Like a tank kit set
Oh
up.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
breaks my heart to see that because I just know that they're going to come back in about 2 or 3 days with a bag of dead fish that they want to exchange and get some more.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
I even think that they should set minimums online, or like they do online, where like with certain species, like you have to take a certain amount. Because I do see a lot of people ask. Fortunately, at my LFS, I'll see people be like, I want one of these and one of these and one of these, and they're like, oh, like easy there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's going back to the earlier discussion. I think that's one of those things that, like, just a little in-store education, in while the customer may not get exactly what they want at that moment, is they're building a more sustainable hobbyist.
Right.
They
Yeah. So
What
for
about
me,
you, Todd? What do you keep?
yeah, so a wide range of different things. I started when I was quite young, right? So that was probably close to 30 years ago when I started keeping fish. And what I had found really to be interesting about the hobby for me was breeding fish. I just thought it was very interesting, and that was the kid that found fish through a science teacher. And
Mm,
she had a couple of aquariums, and in one of them she had a pair of Kerbensis, and she taught me about how they had this parental care, and we kind of watched it happen right there as the kind of the school semester went on, and I just was captivated. And so back then I ended up starting out with Tanganyikan cichlids. So today,
mm,
now, 30 years later and 3-ish years into the hobby, again, I've got some Tanganyikans that I keep. So I keep shell dwellers, and then another species called Parasiprochromis, which are a deep water Tanganyikan, and I like them both quite a bit. And then I've sort of stumbled also into an interest in helping from a aquarist's perspective around conservation, right? So being able to
mm.
breed in captivity and in aquariums species that are endangered or potentially extinct in the wild. And
Yeah.
so right now I've got a species of white cloud, which a lot of people say, oh, white clouds, not really a major, exciting fish. But these guys were only described in the end of 2019. And they had originally been found
Mm.
in 2009 in central Vietnam. Just a beautiful little fish that I happened to find luckily at the local fish club. And I've really taken, kind of a liking and a bit of a sense of responsibility to continue to populate them here in my aquariums, and hopefully be able to start to distribute out to other aquariums so that we can keep them going. I think it's really,
Yeah.
it's important work, and I really like it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, Skull,
That's super
absolutely.
cool.
We should talk sometime, Curtis. I think that would be a lot of fun as well. Kurt, that's one of Curtis's passions as well, is the care species, and looking after some of these fish that out there just don't have the habitats anymore. So that for me is what really kind of captivates me.
That's really cool.
All right. Before we get too far behind the chat, y'all, let's do a little update on who's all here. We got Aqua Funk. Welcome, bro. I got to spend a lot of time with him there at the Tona Aquashella. He's awesome. For those that don't know, go and subscribe to
Cool.
Aqua Funk. He's pretty cool. And we got Super Chat. Victor. Thanks, bro, for the $1 Super Chat. Super Sticker. Thank you for that. I got a little video for you. You see. There we go.
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Did you also see that Riva joined us, as well as Latoya, Lake to Land?
Sorry, I'm so far behind.
Okay.
Nathan, welcome.
Oh, yeah, I missed Nathan.
By the way, Ryan, you had the best hat at Aquashella. Just saying.
Oh, thank you. I thought about wearing it tonight because people don't recognize me without it.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's the logo.
I've got 2 of those hats just in case anything were to happen to one of them.
It looks really good.
You gotta take that photo right there and make that the logo.
Yeah. It is. It's strangely comforting to wear. I've never really been a hat guy, but there's a little bit of a story about that hat. I was in.
Oh, this will be good.
Yeah, I was in Cape Cod, and there was a little hat store, and I've been wanting like a hat to wear to the beach or whatever, just to like keep the sun out of my eyes. And I go into this hat store, And this guy, I don't know. He was in his 80s, if not 90s. He looked like he like lived his entire life in this hat store, right? And I'm going around and I'm kind of like picking up hats, and he's like, no, that's not how we do this. And he like looks at me, and he's like, what kind of hat are you looking? I'm like, I just want something that is gonna like keep the sun out of my face, you know, that and he was like, all right. He's like studying me. He comes back and he was like, he just hands me this hat, and I put it on, and I was like, he goes, yep, that's the one. And I was like, you know, I think it is the one. And so I walked out with that hat, and I was like, ever since then I've kind of been the hat guy. It's just strangely comforting to wear, you know, especially at those events where it's like a blankie, you know. It's like I can get sort of overwhelmed by like all the stimulus and all that, you know, like, but it's like this little bit of comfort that just like is soothing for me for some reason.
Nice. You know, that story was it put me in the it was slightly reminiscent of the scene in Harry Potter where he's in Ollivander's getting his first wand.
Yeah.
He's like, I think I've got something for you. And he gives it to him, and it's just perfect. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's
and so
awesome.
Now sometimes I'll go to events, and if I'm not wearing the hat, they're like, or if I have it like hanging on my back, they're like, why aren't you wearing your hat? No.
Yeah. Because when Vibes Coachella and he had his hat facing front ways, no one recognized him. But as soon as he turned his hat around, everybody's like, oh, hey, Vibes, what's up, man?
They had passed him 4 times by then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Rachel Land. I met her in person. The Keystone. She's awesome.
And she just dropped a super sticker on you there.
Nice.
All right. Sorry, I'm so far behind. Let's do this. There we go. $1.99 super sticker. Do what?
Thanks,
Nice.
Latoya.
Thank you so much.
Aquafun, I'm a big old nerd. I know. It's okay.
You deserve something special. Let's see what we got here. It doesn't get old, I'll tell you that.
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. I hope. Sorry, hey y'all. If I missed your question, I'm sorry. Keep asking the question if I missed it, because I will catch it eventually.
So, Ryan, what is your favorite fish of all time to keep?
Oh, all my answers are going to be super boring, but
It's all good.
This is gonna be
like
good.
my favorite fish. You're gonna laugh, but my favorite fish is a black neon tetra.
Nice. That's interesting. And why is that?
I love it because it is like, if you see it in a fish store or whatever, it just like, it looks nondescript, and without the color, it's you know, it's nothing special. But when you put them in the right place, you don't think of them as being colorful, but if you like get close and like really, really study them, they are so full of color. Like the black is actually like this really beautiful, like indigo, like dark purpley color, and their bellies get so like beautiful and like copper, and and the little red dot on their eye, and that little like kind of aquamarine strip. It's like you don't think of them as being really colorful, but if you spend a lot of time like appreciating them, they are just a gorgeous fish. And I love I just love how peaceful they are, and in a nice big like shoal, they're just so nice. I appreciate them so much. I like every time I get a new fish, I'm like, oh, this is my new favorite fish. You know, like I just but they're the ones that like I just love them. They're just like that underdog, you know, like they're not they're not going to be on anybody's favorite fish list or whatever, but I just like they're sort of underappreciated and not really noticed, but are just really incredibly beautiful in their own way. But I just got my newest fish that I just added is some like Asian stone cats.
Nice.
And I love them because it's like adding a second shift to my aquarium, because they are like hidden away all day long, and then the lights go down and I've just got this like one little spot that I leave on like in the evenings, and they come out and I feed them in the evenings after everybody else has been fed, and it's like it's like the night shift, and it's just added like another life to the aquarium, and they're so cool. They look like little jets, you know. They're just tiny. I like the little tiny fish.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Hey, we got someone special here. James,
Hey, James.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
You met him at Aquashell as well,
guys.
Right, Vibes?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the couch.
Now, for those that have been watching Vibes Aquatics live stream, would know that James was up here a couple months ago as a guest.
Yeah, James is a
Alka
good dude.
Funk. Mine is blackened catfish. Nice. So, Ryan, do you eat fish?
Yeah, I do.
What's your favorite fish to eat, and would you keep it in an aquarium? If I had an aquarium big enough to keep most of the fish that I eat, then I'm doing all right. You know, when I was in Florida and Daytona, I had some grouper that was pretty phenomenal. Ooh.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, I eat a lot of salmon, and I don't know if it's kind of my go-to, you know, but yeah, if I have an aquarium that is suitable for salmon, then I'm living in a gigantic place. I mean, yeah, there's no fish I couldn't eat.
Do it. I want to see this.
All right, man. I like walleye a lot too, though. Walleye too.
Yep.
Could you imagine like a giant school of 700-pound tuna?
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I feel like I was in an aquarium. Maybe it was at the Monterey Aquarium, but there was somewhere where there was like these giant tuna in an aquarium, and it was mind blowing.
Mm.
It was one of those aquariums that was just like, you know, stories high.
Nice. All right. It's getting late, y'all. We don't want to hold around up too late because he might get grouchy on us, and we can't have that. So before we head out, y'all, Todd, what do you want to say to the fish fam?
Yeah, like always, I appreciate everybody coming out here and hanging out with us. This is one of the highlights of my week, right? And getting a chance to talk with all of you. And I'm also appreciative, you know, Vibes, of the opportunity to come here and meet Ryan. Again, I just found out this week who the guest was going to be, because we like to keep it, you know, kind of, you know, make it a little bit of a surprise. But I found a new channel that I'm a fan of. I appreciate the work that you put into it. So, you know, this is great. So, you know, just appreciative all the way around for being able to be here tonight and have everybody with us.
Awesome. How about you, Mariah?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you to everybody for coming out and watching tonight. Thank you everybody for the super chats. Ryan, it was great meeting you in person in Daytona. It's good to see you again. Hopefully we can get you back on. Thanks
anytime. It's
yeah.
The hobby can be lonely sometimes, like, and so I never turn down an opportunity to talk to other hobbyists because the connection is instant and real, and so it's a real privilege to get to talk to you guys too.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, as always, y'all, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat other people how you want to be treated, and may God treat you how you treat animals and elders.
Thank you. And now Aquarium guy has to say something. Thank you for the stream. Thanks, Ryan. It was great meeting you at Aquashella. My daughter still reminds me of it. That's awesome, Jay.
Oh man, his daughter
That's
was
special.
Adorable. That was one of the highlights, was getting my picture taken with her. She was sweet as she could be. Yeah, really wonderful people.
And Ryan, how about you? You got anything to say to the community, to the Vibe fam before you head out?
Oh man, I feel like I've talked so much, but I just wanted to remind people how special these communities are, and the connections, while sometimes distant, are very, very real. And so I guess in this season, just be full of gratitude, like for me, always gratitude, and always patience, and always love.
Awesome. Thank you. I do see that we had another. Hey, George! Mexicali, welcome! I'm sorry, Mexicali.
Spell my name so horribly. It is right there on the screen.
Woo! Hey, Mexicali, you see that? She just called you out.
I'm gonna remember that forever.
Mexicali's awesome, by the way. Anyways, this weekend, the Aquarium Nation Expo in Houston. So I'll probably not be doing a live stream, probably not on Saturday night like I normally do. If I do, it'd be like a pop up maybe. So don't expect it. That's what I'm saying. But looking forward to next Thursday night. I do have another one special coming on, so look forward to that. Nice, Victor. You just subscribed to Ryan. Awesome! Woo! That's all it's all about. And thanks, Ryan, for coming on as a guest. I definitely want you to come back as one of us now, no longer a guest.
All right, man. Yeah.
Good.
Just to tell me when.
And
be happy to.
Hey, those that made it this far in the replay, it must be Ryan. He must be really confident with what he has to say. I appreciate that. Anyways, if you don't get this far, that's okay. But do your water changes, love your family. Since it is Christmas time, give them hugs from me. And I'm gonna leave y'all the way we came in. Don't expect this every time, but since it's a new kind of thing, enjoy. It's gonna be good, y'all.